Sometimes love doesn't arrive in perfect words. Sometimes it arrives in perfect words. Sometimes it arrives quietly, with a trembling heart and an honest truth. So before I say anything else tonight, I need you to understand one thing. I'm not standing here as a perfect man. I don't have all the answers. I've made mistakes. I've said the wrong things. And there are days when I wish I could rewind time and do better. But the truth is, perfection was never what I had to offer you. What I have is something real, because loving someone isn't about being flawless. It's about choosing them even when you know your own imperfections. It's about choosing them even when you know your own imperfections. It's about waking up every day and saying, I may not be perfect, but my heart knows exactly where it belongs. It found you. There's something about the way you exist in this world that makes everything feel quieter and louder at the same time. You make ordinary moments feel important. You make silence feel comfortable. And somehow, without even trying, you remind me that love isn't about being the best person in the room. It's about being the best person in the room. It's about being the most honest one. So, yes, I am not perfect, but my love for you is real, patient, and stubborn in the most beautiful way. It doesn't disappear on difficult days. It doesn't hide when things become complicated. It stays, it learns, it grows. And that's what this speech is about. Is it's about a man who knows his flaws, who understands he's still learning, still growing, still becoming better, but who also knows that loving you is the most certain thing in his life. Because sometimes the most powerful words a person can say are not, I am perfect. Sometimes the most powerful words are simply, I am not perfect, but I love you. I want to start with something honest, something simple, something that might not sound impressive at first, but carries the truth of my heart. I am not a perfect man. I don't wake up every morning with all the answers. I don't always say the right words at the right time. There are moments when I hesitate, moments when I doubt myself, and moments when I doubt myself, and moments when I look back at things I said or did and wish I had chosen better. I have flaws that I'm still learning to understand. I have mistakes that remind me I'm human. I have scars that taught me lessons I didn't know I needed. But there is one thing about me that has never been uncertain. I love you. Not with the kind of love that pretends everything is perfect. Not with the kind of love that tries to hide behind beautiful words just to sound impressive. I love you with a love that is real, imperfect, and deeply human. Humasis turns into music. A love that knows its weaknesses but still stands strong. A love that doesn't pretend to be flawless, because the truth is that the most honest love is never flawless. When people talk about love, they often talk about perfection. They talk about finding the perfect person, living the perfect life together, sharing perfect life together, sharing perfect moments that look like something from a movie. But life is not built from perfect moments. Life is built from ordinary days, unexpected challenges, quiet evenings, misunderstandings, laughter, silence, growth, and patience. Love lives in those moments. And the truth is that loving someone is not about becoming a perfect person. Loving someone is about choosing them even when you know you're not perfect. It's about standing in front of them without pretending to be someone else. It's about saying, this is who I am. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still trying. But my heart belongs with you. That kind of love requires courage, because it is easy to love someone when everything feels easy. It is easy to say beautiful things when life is calm and nothing is challenging your emotions. But real love shows itself in the moments when life becomes complicated. Real love appears when you feel vulnerable, when you feel uncertain, when you realize that the person standing in front of you can see every imperfect part of you and still chooses to stay. When I look at you, I don't see a reason to pretend. I don't feel the need to hide my imperfections. Instead, I feel something quieter and stronger. I feel safe enough to be honest, safe enough to admit that I don't have everything figured out, safe enough to say that sometimes I'm afraid of not being enough. But loving you makes me want to try harder, not because you demand perfection, not because you expect me to become someone else, but because something about your presence in my life reminds me that growth is possible. Something about the way you look at the world, the way you smile, the way you exist, makes me believe that becoming a better man is not about reaching perfection. It's about continuing to move forward. I know there will be days when I make mistakes, days when I misunderstand things, days when I struggle to find the right words, days when I feel overwhelmed by life and everything it demands from us. But loving you means that I will never stop trying to understand you better. It means I will never stop learning how to be kinder, more patient, more present. Love is a process. It grows through effort. It grows through forgiveness. It grows through the quiet decision we make again and again to stay close to the person who matters to us. When I say I am not perfect, but I love you, I am not apologizing for being human. I am simply telling the truth about what love looks like in the real world. Love is not two perfect people standing side by side. Love is two imperfect people choosing each other anyway. And that choice matters more than perfection ever could. Perfection doesn't create connection. Honesty does, vulnerability does. The willingness to admit that we are not finished yet, that we are still becoming who we are meant to be. Sometimes I wonder if people spend too much time trying to appear perfect for someone they love. They try to hide their fears, hide their doubts, hide the parts of themselves that feel messy or unfinished. But those are the parts that make us real. Those are the parts that allow someone else to truly know us. And being known is one of the most beautiful things love can offer. You see the parts of me that the world doesn't always see. You see the quiet moments, the thoughtful pauses, the way I try to make sense of things when life feels confusing. You see the imperfections that I once thought I needed to hide. And yet you remain. That changes a person. When someone accepts you without demanding perfection, something inside you becomes stronger. You stop trying to prove yourself through appearances. You stop focusing on what truly matters: kindness, loyalty, patience, and the quiet strength of showing up for someone again and again. Your love is not measured by how perfect someone appears. Love is measured by how present someone appears. Love is measured by how present someone is, by how willing they are to stay when life becomes difficult, by how sincerely they listen when the other person speaks, by how gently they hold someone's heart when that heart feels fragile. I may not be perfect, but when I care about someone, I care deeply. When I choose someone, I choose them with sincerity. When I say I love you, those words carry everything I am. They carry my effort, my patience, my desire to grow, my commitment to continue learning what it means to continue learning what it means to love another person in a world that often loves too quickly for people to truly understand each other. Sometimes love is quiet. It is not always dramatic or loud. Sometimes love is simply the calm presence of someone who refuses to walk away, someone who stays beside you when things are uncertain, someone who listens when you speak about your fears and hopes. That kind of love does not come from perfection. It comes from sincerity. And sincerity is something I will always bring into your life. I will always bring honesty, even when honesty reveals my flaws. I will always bring honesty, even when honesty reveals my flaws. I will always bring effort, even when effort means admitting that I still have much to learn. It is about proving that your heart is real, that your intentions are genuine, that your presence in someone's life is not temporary or conditional. I love you not because I believe I am perfect for you, but because something inside me knows that my heart feels at home when you are near. Something about the way you exist makes life feel more meaningful. You remind me that love is not about impressing someone. Love is about understanding someone. It is about paying attention to the small details that make them who they are, the way they think, the way they laugh, the way their eyes soften when they talk about things they care about, the quiet hopes they carry inside their heart. Those things matter more than perfection. And when I say I am not perfect, but I love you, I am offering something more valuable than perfection. I am offering sincerity. I am offering presence. I am offering a heart that chooses you not because life is easy, but because you matter. There are many things in this world that fade quickly. Appearances fade. First impressions fade. First impressions fade. Even excitement can fade if it is not supported by something deeper. But genuine love grows stronger with time because it is built on truth rather than usage. And the truth is that I am still learning, still growing, still discovering what it means to love someone fully. But every step of that journey feels meaningful when you're a part of it. Every lesson feels worthwhile because it helps me become someone who can love you better. Love does not require perfection. Love requires courage. The courage to stay open, the courage to admit mistakes, the courage to keep choosing someone, even when life becomes unpredictable. And that is the kind of love I offer you. Not perfect, but real. Not flawless, but sincere. Not finished, but constantly growing. A love that understands its imperfections and still stands strong enough to say, without hesitation, that you matter more than the fear of not being perfect. When people talk about love, they often imagine something flawless. They imagine a story where two people meet, everything falls perfectly into place, and nothing ever goes wrong. In those stories, no one argues, no one misunderstands each other, no one struggles with their own fears or insecurities. Everything looks effortless, everything looks beautiful, everything looks perfect, everything looks beautiful, everything looks perfect. That's real love is not built that way. Real love is not built that way. Real love does not appear in a world where everything is flawless. Real love grows in a world where people are imperfect. emotional, sometimes confused, sometimes scared, and still trying to understand themselves. Love begins between two human beings who are still learning what it means to live, what it means to trust, what it means to open their hearts to another person. And that is why love is not about perfection. Love is about growth. When I say that I am not perfect, but I love you, what I truly mean is that my love is not based on the idea that I have already become the best version of myself. My love is based on the promise that I want to keep becoming better while you are beside me. My love is the quiet decision that every day I will try to learn something new about how to care for you, how to understand you, about how to care for you, how to understand you, how to protect the fragile and beautiful connection that exists between us. Because love is not something that stays the same forever. Music. Love evolves. Love grows the same way people grow. Slowly, sometimes quietly, sometimes through difficult moments that force us to look at ourselves honestly. Sometimes through joyful moments that remind us how meaningful it is to share life with someone who truly matters. There are days when love feels light and easy. Days when a simple smile from you can change the entire atmosphere of my world. Days when laughter fills the space between us and everything feels natural, comfortable, almost effortless. And then there are other days. Days when life becomes heavy. Days when life becomes heavy. Days when stress, responsibilities, and the weight of the world make it harder to communicate clearly. Days when misunderstandings appear and emotions become complicated. Those days do not destroy love. Those days reveal what love really is. Because when love is real, those days reveal what love really is. Because when love is real, those difficult moments do not push two people apart. Instead, they become opportunities to grow closer. They become moments where patience matters, moments where listening matters, moments where two people realize that love is not about always being right, but about always being willing to understand. I know that I will not always say the perfect thing. I know there will be moments when I wish I had chosen different words or reacted with more patience, but loving you means that I will always be willing to learn from those moments. Love teaches humility. It teaches us that being strong does not mean never making mistakes. Being strong means recognizing when we are wrong and choosing to become better because someone we care about deserves our effort. Your presence in my life does something powerful to me. It reminds me that growth is not something we do alone. Sometimes the reason we become better is because someone inspires us to try harder than we ever tried before. You inspire that in me, not by demanding perfection, but by simply being who you are, by existing with a kindness and sincerity that makes me want to reflect those same qualities back into the world. Before love enters someone's life, it is easy to focus only on ourselves, our own plans, our own comfort, our own way of seeing things. But love changes that perspective. Love gently shifts the center of our attention. Suddenly, another person's happiness matters. Another person's feelings matter. Their dreams, their fears, their quiet hopes for the future begin to matter deeply. And when someone truly matters to you, growth becomes natural. You begin to ask yourself questions you never asked before. How can I be more patient? How can I listen more carefully? How can I listen more carefully? How can I make sure this person feels valued, respected, and safe beside me? Those questions are the beginning of real love, because love is not proven through grand speeches or dramatic gestures alone. Love is proven through daily actions, through small choices that may seem ordinary but carry great meaning. The choice to listen instead of interrupt, the choice to listen instead of interrupt, the choice to remain gentle even when emotions are strong. Those choices shape the foundation of a relationship. And none of them require perfection. They require intention. They require the willingness to grow together. Rather than expecting everything to already be perfect, sometimes I think people underestimate how beautiful growth can be in a relationship. They look for someone who already seems perfect, someone who already seems perfect, someone who never struggles, someone who never makes mistakes. But perfection often creates distance. When someone appears flawless, it can be difficult to feel truly close to them. Imperfection, on the other hand, creates connection. When two people are honest about their flaws, when they allow each other to see the parts of themselves that are still unfinished, something meaningful begins to happen. Trust begins to grow. Understanding begins to deepen. The relationship becomes a place where both people can continue becoming who they are meant to be. That is the kind of love I believe in. A love that does not expect perfection from the beginning. A love that understands that two people walking through life together will change over time. Yay. They will learn new things, face new challenges, experience moments that test their patience, and moments that strengthen their bond. Growth is not always comfortable. Sometimes growth requires difficult conversations, Sometimes it requires admitting that we misunderstood something important. Sometimes it requires looking honestly at our own behavior and realizing that we still have much to learn. But when love is real, those moments are not signs of failure. They are signs that the relationship is alive. A living relationship is always evolving, always adapting, always discovering new ways to support each other. And I want that kind of love with you, not a love that pretends everything is perfect. A love that breathes, a love that learns, a love that becomes stronger each time we face something difficult and choose to remain together. There is something powerful about knowing that someone is willing to grow beside you, knowing that they do not expect you to remain the same forever, but instead encourage you to become the best version of yourself. You make me feel that possibility. Your presence reminds me that the future is not something we face alone. It is something we can shape together, step by step, moment by moment. Sometimes growth happens quietly. It happens in small realizations that appear during simple conversations. It happens when you notice something about the person you love that you had not fully appreciated before, the way they remain patient during difficult moments, the way they support you when you doubt yourself, the way they continue to believe in the relationship even when things are not easy. Those qualities matter far more than perfection. Perfection is static, growth is alive. And love thrives in places where people are alive, curious, open to change, open to learning how to love more deeply than they did yesterday. When I look toward the future, I do not imagine a life where we never face challenges. Life will always bring unexpected situations, moments that test our strength and our patience. Music. But I imagine facing those moments together. I imagine learning from them together. I imagine learning from them together. I imagine becoming wiser, kinder, and more understanding with each experience we share. Because love is not about reaching a destination where everything becomes perfect. Love is about the journey of becomes perfect. Love is about the journey of becoming better together, and every conversation that helps us understand each other more clearly. Every moment of forgiveness that allows the relationship to heal. Every quiet evening where simply being beside each other feels enough. Those moments build something lasting, something deeper than temporary excitement, something stronger than appearances. They build trust, and trust is the heart of love. Trust that even when mistakes happen, both people are willing to learn. Trust that even when emotions become complicated, both people still care enough to work through the confusion. Trust that love is not something fragile that disappears at the first sign of difficulty. Trust that love is resilient, and resilience is born from growth. So when I say that true love is not about being flawless for someone, I mean that the most meaningful love is the kind that allows two people to remain human, to remain imperfect, to remain open to the possibility that tomorrow they might understand something they did not understand, something they did not understand today. Love gives us that opportunity. It invites us to become more patient, more compassionate, more aware of how our actions affect the person we care about. And every time we accept that invitation, love becomes stronger. Every time we choose growth instead of pride, love deepens. Every time we choose understanding instead of judgment, love becomes more beautiful than perfection ever could be. Because perfection does not evolve, but love does. Love continues moving forward, shaping two lives in ways that neither person could have imagined. A person could have imagined a neighbor. Lone love continues teaching, guiding, reminding us that the most meaningful relationships are not built by perfect people, but by people who care enough to grow together, who care enough to listen when things become difficult, but by people who care enough to listen when things become difficult, who care enough to